And welcome to Javelina Stadium. I'm Tessie Ledesma with the Javelina Broadcast Network, and today I'm joined by both announcers for today's game, Ferris Abawi and Ray Castillo.
Hi Tessie, I'm excited. The Javelinas haven't been here for 2 weeks, and now they're back here in the friendly confines of Javelina Stadium. Tailgate's going on. I'm really excited to see tonight's game.
Yeah, it's been a while since the Javelinas picked up a win against the Colorado Mesa Mavericks, so I'm interested to see what they're going to do today to get another win.
This week, Temuco will face Eastern New Mexico Greyhounds. We've got plenty of notes on them after we come back from this quick commercial break.
Every week, Lone Star Conference football is its own saga.
Are you the hunter or the hunted?
The bug or the windshield?
Don't slip up. You can't take a week off.
We play 7 regular season games.
But that's just the beginning.
In November, the conference playoffs will settle the score.
You want to be the champion?
Prove it.
Who will be the last team standing?
Conference playoffs. We're the one.
Welcome back to Pepsi Tailgate Central. I'm Tessie Ledesma with the Javelina Broadcast Network, and I'm joined by Ferris Abawi and Ray Castillo. Now Ray, last season the Javelinas traveled to Blackwater Draw all the way out in eastern New Mexico to face the Greyhounds. What happened then?
Well, last season the Greyhounds used a third quarter 22-yard touchdown from senior fullback Elon Spite to erase a 10-7 deficit to snap also a 5-game losing streak against A&M Kingsville. Now, they went on their way to share the crown for the Lone Star Conference as co-champions, and Spite rushed for a team-high 73 yards for 15 carries in that game, while senior wide receiver Jacob Johnson also hauled in 7 passes for a total of 80 yards.
Yeah, that game over in Blackwater Draw, it was really a defensive-heavy game. Both defensive squads were tough, and they were the ones dictating the pace of the game. And it ended up with the Greyhounds sneaking away with that 13-10 win in the final minutes.
And tonight's game won't be much different. Eastern New Mexico brings a stout defense to Javelina Stadium.
That's for sure. And like I said, last year, they were the Lone Star Conference co-champions. So specifically because of that powerful defense, they're only allowing 50 yards on the ground, which is good enough for second best in the conference.
Yeah, despite giving up 130 yards against Midwestern in their Week 3 loss, they only gave up 19 rushing yards in their first game against New Mexico Highlands University. And last week, against an offensive powerhouse like A&M Commerce, which has Joe Bergeron and company, they only gave up 24 yards on the ground. So This team has got a pretty strong front seven.
Yeah, that's right, Ferris. So if the Javelinas want to be successful in this game, they're going to have to do it through the air, because that's going to open up holes for their backfield.
Now let's talk about some of the players on that defensive squad that have brought so much trouble to other teams this season. They have some linebackers that look to block and even cause turnovers.
Yeah, that's right, Tessie. Last week against the Lions, senior linebackers Julian Yearwood and Benjamin Pedro Laneford both forced fumbles, which proved again why their defense is as strong as it is.
Yeah, they lead the Lone Star Conference with 5 fumbles recovered so far. So expect that to happen again here tonight. They got that strong front seven. And you really got to talk about Julian Yearwood and linebacker Seth Bailey. Both registered interceptions so far, and both have already, recovered their own fumbles. So this is a defense that causes trouble and is able to capitalize off of it.
Well, Bailey led their opening week win with 13 tackles. Senior defensive back Willie Grant also tallied 2 tackles for a loss of yards in that game as well. And as the season progressed, we've seen Langford penetrate the offensive line, with 2.5 tackles per game. And sophomore linebacker Elliot Peters has also picked up 2 sacks this far this season, amounting for a total of 23 yards.
Yeah, the Greyhounds defense cannot be overlooked by that Javelina offense. The Javelinas are really going to have to stay disciplined if they want to come out here and make a difference tonight, just especially with the defense that's touted. But the Javelinas have a good defense too, so we'll see how that adds up.
Let's not forget, this defense is also one that can be tough in the red zone.
Yeah, just like the Javelinas were able to hold off Colorado Mesa on their own 1 yard line in that last win here at home, the Greyhounds were able to do the same thing, holding New Mexico Highlands University in their season opener completely scoreless when they were in the red zone. So that's always good to keep a defense, especially with that short of a field.
Yeah, that's right. And the Javelinas have always managed to get it done against Eastern New Mexico here at home. And even when they're on the road playing Eastern New Mexico, they've put up a good enough record at 9-5.
Yeah, and that's one of the more interesting statistics that we've seen so far. Javelinas completely undefeated here at Javelina Stadium. Let's see if they keep it up.
We have to cut to a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we'll talk about the Greyhounds offense. We'll be right back here at Pepsi Tailgate Central.
Every week, Lone Star Conference football is its own saga.
Are you the hunter or the hunted?
The bug or the windshield?
Don't slip up. You can't take a week off.
We play 7 regular season games.
But that's just the beginning.
In November, the conference playoffs will settle the score.
You want to be the champion?
Prove it.
Who will be the last team standing?
Conference playoffs. We're the one.
Blender, pa los que saben. Pronto Insurance, auto insurance pa los que saben. Stop by for a free quote starting at $29 per month. Silverware, pa los que saben. Pronto Insurance, auto insurance pa los que saben. Stop by for a free quote starting at $29 per month.
Hi, I'm Kristen Walters, and I'm a student athlete at Eastern New Mexico University. I'm standing with some other great athletes from the Lone Star Conference, and we're talking about respect. When you're at our games, we encourage enthusiastic support of your team, but we also ask that you support the entire conference by treating all fans, officials, coaches, and student athletes with respect. We're all in this together, the Lone Star Conference. We're the one.
Welcome back to Pepsi Tailgate Central. Before we went to break, we touched up on the defensive presence that the Greyhounds bring and how effective it can be, especially when their opponents run the ball. But now it's time to see how their offense works. We don't see too many teams with the offensive scheme like Eastern New Mexico, do we, Ferris?
Yeah, that's right. Eastern New Mexico brings a triple option offense down. That's the scheme that they want to run when they have the ball. And what that means is that there are 3 rushing threats on the field at all times. And it's a kind of confusing scheme for defenses just because you never know who's going to end up with the ball.
Yeah, you know, and that's something Javelina head coach David Calloway talked about coming into this game. Quote, "It's tough because you don't see it in practice and you can't simulate the tempo in practice. The defense can only prepare by doing 2 things, being ready to play a tough game and playing assignment football." What that means is the Javelina defense can't go on a leap to make a play. They just have to stick to their assignment and stay disciplined.
And they've been successful so far as they lead the LSC in rushing yards per game. Now we've talked about the scheme, but who are the players that make this formation possible?
Well, we already talked about him a little bit in last season's game against the Javelinas. That senior running back, Elon Spite, he had a big game against the Javelinas last year, ended up with 73 yards and the touchdown. But right now he's doing very well. He's averaging 100. He has 102 carries, 4.4 yards a carry, and he averages a touchdown a game. So expect him to find his way into the end zone tonight as well.
Yeah, that's right, Ferris. You know, senior running back Jordan Wells has complemented Spite's role. He averages 52.2 yards a game, while sophomore running back Demerjic Tucker has also played a part in the run game as well with 36.25 yards per game. Quarterback Jeremy Burma, you know he's going to bring it with 104 yards on the ground this season, so he is a running threat as well. There are a lot of runners and a lot of different threats on this Eastern New Mexico team.
Jeremy Burma also averages 184 passing yards a game. So who are the receivers who have been making these big plays for the Greyhounds?
Well, that's going to be wide receiver Jacob Johnson. He's another returning player who has come up big against the Javelinas, especially last year. He had 445 yards this season and 17 receptions on the year. He's also Eastern New Mexico's Player of the Week. So you know that he's going to be able to do some damage today, so the Javelinas will need to be ready for him.
With all that being said, the Greyhounds are only sitting at a 500 record this season at 2-2. And what's worse for them is both of those losses come from the Lone Star Conference. How does a team that only gives up 50 yards on the ground find themselves at 0-2 in the conference?
Well, Tessie, their defense has had a few issues. They don't give up much yardage on the ground, but they do give up 311 yards through the air. So, their passes have given up to their opponents a total of 11 touchdowns on the year.
Yeah, but you really do have to admit, and especially in this game against the Javelinas, who are primarily a rushing team, this is a good matchup for that Greyhounds defense. The Javelinas have thrown 3 interceptions in 2 consecutive games so far, so they're not really proven to be able to do it through the air. So that's going to have to be a big factor if the Javelinas want to come up successful.
Ferris, you're exactly right, and that defense that the Javelinas have shown throughout the year, the signs of what's to come this season, they will have a chance to show that off against Eastern New Mexico today. And with that being said, if A&M Kingsville wants to return to their winning ways, they're going to need to make those adjustments to even compete in the Lone Star Conference.
Hopefully the Javelinas can get back to their winning ways against another Lone Star Conference foe. You're watching Pepsi Tailgate Central, and we'll be right back.
Every week, Lone Star Conference football is its own saga.
Are you the hunter or the hunted? The bug or the windshield?
Don't slip up. You can't take a week off.
We play 7 regular season games.
But that's just the beginning.
In November, the conference playoffs will settle the score.
You want to be the champion?
Prove it.
Who will be the last team standing?
Conference playoffs. We're the one.
Blender, pa los que saben. Pronto Insurance, auto insurance pa los que saben. Stop by for a free quote starting at $29 per month. Silverware, pa los que saben. Silverware, pa los que saben. Pronto Insurance, auto insurance pa los que saben. Stop by for a free quote starting at $29 per month.
Hi, I'm Kristen Walters, and I'm a student athlete at Eastern New Mexico University. I'm standing with some other great athletes from the Lone Star Conference, and we're talking about respect. When you're at our games, we encourage enthusiastic support of your team, but we also ask that you support the entire conference by treating all fans, officials, coaches, and student athletes with respect. We're all in this together, the Lone Star Conference. We're the one.
Welcome back to Pepsi Tailgate Central. We're about ready to wrap things up, but first, what are the keys to tonight's game?
Well, one of those keys for the Javelinas to have a win tonight is going to start at the quarterback position. We've had some with Trey Mitchell with it going out injury a few weeks ago in Arlington against A&M Commerce. It's going to be interesting to see what Alex Rios can do if he gets the call, or Sebastian Taylor. Whoever gets the call, it's going to be interesting to see how they will respond to Eastern New Mexico's defense. Now, the Javelinas have proven to have a strong defense as well on their part. So if they can get it together with them, I think they expect good things from them.
And what do you think, Ferris?
Well, I think Ray touched up on a little bit, but I think this is going to be all about the defenses here. Both defenses are a lot of upperclassmen, lots of experience on them, and they both have been good at trying to keep their line and holding their line strong. So I think whichever defense gives out first will be the one that goes home with the loss.
Well, that about wraps up our segment for today. Stay tuned for the LFC Roundup at 3, where Ray Castillo will be joined by Louis Bradshaw and Robbie Brown. You've been watching Pepsi Tailgate Central. See you at 3.
Texas A&M University Kingsville thanks you for watching this special presentation of student-directed and produced media by the Javelina Broadcast Network.